Do you feel overwhelmed by constant requests and commitments? Today, we're going to get into the power of saying no, a small word with big potential to reclaim your time, energy, and focus.
Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness.
Learning to say no can be a game changer. Saying no isn't about rejection, it's about alignment, intention, and staying true to your values. Today, we'll tackle why no is so hard to say, how to set boundaries, and how to handle guilt or pushback when you do. Plus, we'll share actionable strategies for managing professional and personal requests, like those never-ending LinkedIn introductions and those coffee meetups. So stick around to learn how to say no confidently and grab a free copy of our Power of No workbook to help get you started. Will, good to see you, brother. I know we haven't recorded in a few weeks. We front-loaded before Thanksgiving and before I took a trip. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate getting back together here to record another show. It's been a while.
Thanks, John. It's good to be back. No, I'm going to practice saying no right now. No.
There you
no,
go.
I can't help you. No, sorry, not the time right now.
There
no,
you go.
I'm sorry, I got to check my schedule. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so hey, it's good to be back, guys. I love seeing you, John. I love that we're doing another episode. And just a little quick note, we have a lot of stuff, exciting things that are happening in 2025. We have 2 live virtual meditation courses starting in January. We have our social fitness club that's going to launch in January. And check this out, in October of 2025, we are sponsoring a team in a Spartan race in Dallas. We're going to have that on the website. This is all like fresh off the press. If you want to learn more about any of this, head to our website, mentalkingmindfulness.com, mentalkingmindfulness.com, or text simply MTM to 33777. All right, maybe this one breath breathing practice will help you to, gain the confidence to say no just by taking one breath. Exhale out, everybody. Let's do this. Big, giant, satisfying breath in. Then let it go out nice and slow. Welcome, everybody. I feel grounded, John. How about you?
Me too, man. I almost fell asleep just in that one breath.
You need some sleep, brother. What the hell's going on over there?
Oh, man. Had sick kids one night, and then last night my youngest just came in because she was scared. So had a couple of nights of interrupted sleep. And you can't really say no to the little ones.
I was going to say, get the fuck out of here. I'm just kidding. No, I need my sleep, right? Anyway.
Yeah, right. So, all right. So today we're going to be talking about the value of saying no. And funny enough, Will and I were just talking today, right before we hit record. And I'm bundled up here in my jacket, and I've got a little beanie on. And I was going to go get ready and as far as a nice hat and looking somewhat squared away. But today I just said, you know what? No, I'm just going to wear what I'm wearing on the show. So, hey, I hope that you guys enjoy it. But
John, straight out of the Land's End catalog, dude. Straight out of Land's End.
And we're also trying something new here with our backgrounds. We've been going with virtual backgrounds for a while, but we've been working with some professional producers and some consultants, and they say, hey, just go natural with your background. People like seeing that. It kind of adds to your personality. So if you're listening, check us out on YouTube, and don't say no to that. Do it.
Just try.
Yeah, try it out. Check out our backgrounds. Get a little bit of a taste of our personality, a little bit more of our personality. So anyway, all that BS aside, let's talk about the value of saying no. And Will and I were talking this weekend about what we were going to cover this week, and I pulled out a workbook that I put together a while back about the power of that word, the power of no, and what we can do with it, what not saying it does to us. And everything along those lines. So, the value of saying no, let's talk about, what does that mean? One, so many times when we don't say no, we're kind of not working in alignment with our own intentions, our own values, our own priorities, right? I know I am guilty. I have been, and I am still guilty of saying yes quite often to things that I honestly don't really want to do. And that I think comes from a people pleasing aspect rather than identifying what my priorities are, what my commitments are, what my intentions are. And then what ends up happening is I end up overcommitting, and then I spread myself entirely too thin. And every time, and we'll get into this a little bit more later, talking about what I call the yes trap. We end up by saying yes to so many things. What we're essentially doing is saying no to everything. And what I mean there is you're not able to show up to the things that you truly want to show up to, the things that you truly want to do. You don't show up your best self because you're so spread thin. So you're not respecting yourself. You're not respecting your priorities. Essentially, you're not respecting others. By saying yes to everyone, you're not respecting them either because you're not showing up in your best version of yourself. What else? No. By saying no, it can actually help to reduce stress and anxiety. I know when I say yes to so many things and I open up my calendar for the day and it's just back to back to back meetings or, back to back commitments that I really don't want to be a part of, I get stressed out and I get anxious. If I open up my calendar for the week and it's just full, I'm like, man, what am I essentially saying no to by having said yes to all of these commitments? So there's a lot of value in saying no. What you got, Will?
Well, I think interesting when you said in the beginning, align with your intentions. Just think of the word intention, right? So working from the inside out, or typically when we're saying no or saying yes to certain things, it could be for that external validation or not like, seeming, like you're a douchebag or something like that, or like, not being part of the group. So, I mean, that's really key. And we're going to talk a little bit later about like, what is your intention, right? And what are those intentions? And if you're living more intentional with your life, then it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to say no because, when you're living more intentionally, you have things that you're looking forward to. In order to get to those things, you need to set some boundaries around those, and saying no is one of the best ways that you can start to set boundaries. Actually, I put out today, I thought this was really great. I put out today on LinkedIn, hey, give us a little help about no, right? And this one guy, I believe he's in the military, and he goes, no is an acronym for numerous opportunities. And I was like, God damn, it's that good, right? Really, really good, right? So think of no and the value in saying no is you're creating numerous opportunities for things that matter to you and align with those intentions. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. I love that, man. And we have to, and we've said this on the show before, that word, N-O, 2 letters, that's a complete sentence. And what I mean by that is a lot of the time and we'll talk about, ways to say it in a polite way, because we don't want to, like Will said, we don't want to sound like douchebags or we don't want to be douchebags. But even there are times when just saying no is enough. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. There are times when just saying no is perfectly fine. And that's going to help you to have those numerous opportunities. NO is an acronym for numerous opportunities. I love that. I've never heard that.
Yeah, me neither. Another thing as far as a value add when saying no is your I think what you said earlier, the reducing the stress and anxiety is a big one, right? And that's going to help you to be more present when you are doing the things, that you're committing to, instead of like, if you overcommit and, your day is, has like no white space or, you're just you can kind of feel it. Or I know I can feel it when I'm like, oh my God, I got to get to this next thing, so therefore I'm not necessarily fully present in the thing I'm doing. Right. I mean, it's really key. And then it's like, cause if you're not being, what do you want to, no is going to help you put you in the driver's seat of that executive function, right? I mean, because it's going to keep the stress away because you're not overcommitting. So therefore you're not like, you're not feel rushed for time. And therefore you're in the driver's seat in the executive function. And therefore you're more present. You have, that functional mind that the executive function brings. instead of the stress mind, which you're not making your best decisions, you're not showing up clearly, you're not communicating in the best way you possibly can. So, I mean, that's another huge value because it's going to, you reduce that stress. And how many times we talked about what stress does to the mind and the body and how you're showing up in the world. This is another example, reducing stress just by saying no. And there's other feelings that come up. We're going to talk about guilt in a little bit. And it's like, oh my God. And, FOMO and stuff like that. If that's a feeling, we got to talk to JJ if FOMO is a feeling, John.
Right, JJ? That's right. What's fear? You're feeling fear.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, anything else?
Something that I was thinking about just as far as an example. So I do a lot of executive coaching, and there's several executives that I work with who are very high performing individuals, but their organization relies heavily on them as far as being available to answer questions, being available to take, spot meetings that just kind of pop up. And a lot of these executives fill their calendar from when they get to work until when they leave. There is no white space on their calendar. And that is, to me, it's them saying yes to everything. It's they're saying, yes, I'll be at that meeting. Yes, I'll be at that meeting. Those are planned meetings, right? So now they've blocked out their entire calendar. There's no flexibility for if something pops up. There's no flexibility for if someone needs to drop by and ask you a question, they need an answer. And really, it kind of stifles the organization. Over and above that, what I think that does is by saying yes to all these meetings, in a way, you're saying, I don't trust my subordinates to go and do these meetings for me, right? I need to be able to delegate, but I don't trust them enough to delegate to them. So by saying yes to everything as a leader, in a way, you're showing that you don't trust your people, one, and two, you're not giving them an opportunity to shine or fail. And that failure could be an opportunity to learn, right? That first attempt in learning, FAIL. So we're really not giving them those opportunities. So I believe that saying yes to everything in some aspects and in some situations can actually be a sign of lack of faith, lack of trust, and not giving your people an opportunity to shine. Those are some examples I've seen out there. So
it could be a great opportunity to delegate in those situations as well, which gives more trust to the organization, which is big. You know what I mean? Which is really big. Just to go, I did ask that question on LinkedIn, and we had a professor, Dr. Shane Snipes. Hello, Shane. I hope you're listening. And I'm just going to read your LinkedIn comment here. He goes, and the reason I and many overworked teachers struggle to say no and how this shows up in life, fear of disappointing others. Maybe this is you out there who's listening. As an educator, I often feel an unspoken pressure to go above and beyond my students, colleagues, and administrators. When someone's asked me to take an extra community role, mentor a struggling student, or organize an event, I hesitate to say no because I worry it might make me seem less committed. That's another good, huge point here. This fear keeps me stuck in a cycle of overcommitment, often sacrificing my evenings and weekends just to keep everyone else happy. Everyone else, key, right? For example, agreeing to chair the curriculum committee on top of teaching 4 classes and managing Blackstone Launchpad means I rarely have time to pause and recharge. Does this sound like you? So that's like, I would thank you, Shane, for sharing that. But I think it really speaks to, what happens when you overcommit. And that's kind of what we're going to go into next. Like, what's the villains here? What's the conflict, that comes up when you do not exercise or know how to exercise a clear no. And what's the opposite of no is yes. Where do you want to start that, John?
Yeah, well, I want to just build on some of those reasons that you talked about, and Shane mentioned. It was Shane, right? Yeah. So where I've found myself guilty, and we probably need to do a completely separate episode on this, is people pleasing, or the desire to people please. I am definitely a people pleaser. And
I think we have, I'm sorry, John, I think we have Mr. No More, the author of No More Mr. Nice Guy coming on.
Yeah,
right? I think
that'll
probably take care of that people pleasing
there's
thing.
a ton of that in there, man.
Okay.
Oh my
I'm excited
gosh,
to talk to him.
it's such a great read.
I can't believe we got him, dude. That's amazing.
Oh, dude, he jumped on it, so I'm super excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely like you said, fear of disappointing others. There's also not only a fear of disappointing others, but a fear of being viewed as kind of a prude, maybe a douchebag, like we said before. Like man, I've just started doing this, and I feel there is a little bit of guilt in it. When people reach out and they're like, "Hey, I would like to introduce you to so and so, and would you be okay with that?" Well, first off, I have to say I appreciate you reaching out and asking if I'd be okay with the introduction. In the past, I've been like, "Yes, yes, yes, introduce me, introduce me," and what I found is I got introduced to so many people, and I had so many meetings, I had so many LinkedIn calls, whatever, or Zoom calls. It diluted the quality of those calls. So in being introduced to them, I took the introduction, took the call, but then walked away from it at the end of the day. I'm like, I don't even know what that call was about. So what I've started doing is on LinkedIn, when people ask, "Hey, is it okay if I introduce?" Which again, I appreciate the ask before just blindly introducing, because I think that sucks. Anyway, I've started saying, "I appreciate you're looking out. I appreciate offering the introduction. However, right now, I wouldn't have the time to commit a meaningful conversation or commit to a meaningful conversation with this man or woman." And I haven't had anybody hit me back saying, "Wow, you're such a douchebag." But there's that fear. There's that fear of being perceived as somebody that you don't want to be perceived as, right? So, like you said, you want to be perceived as reliable, helpful, likable, and by saying no, there's a fear of being perceived the opposite: not reliable, not helpful, not likable. So it is that fear-based thinking that so many of us get stuck in.
Right. I think some of that fear comes, the fear of missing out, right? But also, not being part of a group. I mean, that is something deep, deep, deep in our DNA of like, if we are not part of a group as a human being, our ability to survive diminishes quickly. Even though, hey, I mean, not in every case that you say no, but there's that fear that it kind of comes up with. So you have to, where you're talking about, John, is like working against that, and how do you work against that, and how do you? And I think it's like knowing the value of saying no, like we talked about earlier, especially like no equals numerous opportunities, for yourself to align with those intentions. And here's some other ways that people struggle with saying no. I mean, people often say yes to be perceived as reliable, likable, helpful, even, committed, like Shane was talking about. It says this fear-based thinking keeps us stuck in the cycles of overcommitment and stress again, right? So we're just continually, every time we say yes, instead of exercising no, there's only so much time in your day. And if you're living an intentional life, I mean, you really begin to realize how precious time actually is. Yeah. So what about how does saying yes too often affect our stress levels and relationships?
Oh man, that's that's a big one. And it could be so. Let's peel back the onion here. This is going to get pretty open and vulnerable pretty quickly. But let's say in a romantic relationship, right? It's pretty easy to get hot and heavy pretty quick in a romantic relationship. But then over time, one member is going to want to be, let's say, physically intimate more often than another. And the one who is not wanting to be physically intimate may not say no. They may say yes because that's what's expected, or that's what they believe is expected, right? And by saying yes, they end up not enjoying it as much, and then they end up resenting the other individual in the relationship, even though there wasn't ever a discussion about, hey, I would like to maybe step back, maybe be intimate less often. So I think that's one thing. It can lead to not enjoying things that you enjoyed before, and it can lead to resentment. It can lead to not being honest in a relationship, which I heard the other day, honesty is the new kindness. And I love that. I was like,
new
holy
kindness?
shit.
I feel that's always a kindness. Anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah, but people think, hey, being kind. So, I mean, right here, let's talk about it. Being kind, people think saying yes is being kind, when in fact, saying no, that's being honest. And in being honest, that's being kind. So it's kind of, hey, dude, my mind exploded when I heard that. I was like, holy shit, that's really deep. And so one, I think it leads to resentment, animosity. It erodes trust. I think there's a lot there, but also, outside of just being intimate, we end up spreading ourselves too thin. We say, yes, I'll go and do this. Yes, I'll do, I'll do these chores. Yes, I mean, chores are a necessity, but maybe saying yes to, hey, maybe around Christmas time, right? Perfect. So this episode's probably going to air right around Christmas. So a lot of the time there's Christmas parties, right? And your significant other will be like, hey, let's go to this. And then you go and you're like, hey, I've got this party. And then suddenly your schedule is full and you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should say no to some of these. And that ends up to, again, coming back to what we've talked about already, being spread too thin, experiencing that stress, that resentment. And then we end up, by saying yes to all this bullshit? Well, it's not all BS, but some of it. What else does it do? Well, we end up neglecting ourselves. So something that, another thing that we're going to do here in MTM, and it's really kind of a journey for myself that Will is supporting me in, is this, in August of 2025, I'm going to compete in a physique competition. I've been in good shape, but I've let myself go. Why have I let myself go? Well, one, complete honesty, I've been lazy. But then two is I've neglected myself because I've said yes to everything. I've said yes to all these coffee meetings. I've said yes to all these virtual calls. I've said yes to, as an entrepreneur, you say yes to everything until you kind of figure out what shiny object it is that is yours and not all these other shiny objects. But I've let myself go because I haven't stuck to my priorities. And I think that can tie into what you do in a relationship with your significant other, with your children. You put them first and you say yes to them. And then you end up resenting your significant other. You start resenting your children. You start resenting, whomever else that you have a meaningful relationship with. So I think that saying no is being honest. And in being honest, you're being kind, which is totally opposite than how we normally think about it.
Yeah. Well, to you, John, like if you're saying no to sugar,
oh, dude,
yeah. I know you got a thing with it, dude.
I've been saying no for about a month.
Exactly.
I feel great, man. My knees don't feel as inflamed. My ankles don't feel as bad, and I'm losing weight.
And you're losing weight, you're probably sleeping better. And just think of that self-respect, right? Because sugar is gonna fuck with your body, fuck with your mind, fuck with your sleep. You know what I mean? It's gonna hijack you emotionally, right? You're not in the best shape that you can be. But literally just saying no to sugar, which is hard. I mean, sugar is an addictive substance. You can exercise, no in other places as well. I mean, so maybe if you're listening out there and you want to get better at exercising though, and not spreading yourself too thin, whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in your business life, or just a relationship to yourself. I mean, start with something small, commit to it and watch how, and also it's really, John, like we're talking about here is the feelings of saying no. There's a lot of feelings that come up when you might be feeling you're disappointing other people, you might be disappointing yourself or, but like when you're really, again, when you're in alignment, when you are living intentionally, when you're committed to a goal, right? You're going to have to say no because that goal it takes time, in order to, and commitment in order to really achieve that goal. But when you are, using the power of no, to achieve more success, you're going to get the reward feelings, if you will. And you're just going to be like, wait, okay, the more I say no, I experienced that, John. No was a big thing that come up for me when I went through the Sober October month. And like, I understood it's just saying no, like just like every time if I wanted to smoke some weed, after like a busy day at 4:00, I'm like, no, not going to do it. Or Saturday definitely is a bad day, or Sunday is a bad day for me, because that's like, fuck it all. You know what I mean? I can do whatever I want on Saturday, Sunday. But like, no, like even on those days, like, no. And it just kept coming. No.
It's so I have to laugh, man,
Okay.
because my Saturdays and Sundays are the exact opposite. My Saturdays and Sundays are the days that I don't get to do anything.
All right, well, it's your kids' day.
I gotta work with the kids, gotta take them places, gotta keep them entertained. So I have to wake up. Funny enough, I have to wake up earlier on Saturdays and Sundays in order to get my time, for the gym, meditation, my own coffee, and then it is on. Once they wake up, it's freaking on. So, which, I say that and I have to, like, I'm sure some of you guys are like, Will doesn't have kids. Will has been a Manny. Will has been so I have to bring that up. I don't know how many people know that about Will. He has been a Manny, and man, he knows. My son freaking loves Mr. Will. Loves him. As a matter of fact, we're gonna take a trip. He and I, my son and I, we're going to take a trip to New York City to visit New York City. My son's obsessed with New York City, but he's also looking forward to seeing Mr. Will. So he may have different days. Like his Saturday, Will may have a Saturday and Sunday look completely different than mine, but he's experienced children before.
Oh, yeah. They're full on, dude.
They are, man.
They push every single limit.
Ooh,
every single limit. In beautiful ways, right?
In beautiful ways. I've grown more through being around children, whether that's as a parent or working in a day camp or as a scout leader or whatever. I've learned more around children than I've learned through anything else about life and about myself. But that's a whole nother episode. Yet again, we should make notes on this episode about other episodes that we should have. But yeah, man, the Saturday and Sunday. So sober October for you.
Yeah, so sober October, is a big way to exercise the power of no. And and I got through those entire 31 days, and by literally just saying no, and it created more numerous opportunities, like in the sense of like, what do I do? Or like, I still would sometimes get high and then do emails and stuff like that. But now it's like, it was,
I can tell sometimes when I receive an email, bro.
Yeah. Like, God damn, was that written so fucking well and so kind by Will Schneider. I just, that's my high emails. Well, let's get, it's so powerful to say no, but let's also, the opposite of no is yes, right? So let's get, you talked about the yes trap earlier. I have, I'll just mention like kind of the full bullet points we have here. Let's break those down, right? So the key points to the yes trap, right, is loss of alignment, overcommitment, neglecting priorities, and emotional impact. Yeah.
So what is that yes trap, right? I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory. But the yes trap, which is covered in the workbook, it refers to kind of the unintended consequences of saying yes too often, right? We've covered a lot of that, especially when you really want to say no. And then how every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals or priorities, that you're inadvertently saying no to something else. And that those are things that truly matter to you, like the gym time, rather than having a Zoom call or a coffee. As much as some of those are great, don't get me wrong, I still appreciate some of them, but there's times when they get overwhelming and we still have to make time for ourselves, that personal time, your family time, your health, your relationships, your spiritual life, all these things, they can come, they get deteriorated because you're saying yes to everything else. So that's the yes trap.
No, it's a cycle. I mean, it's like it's a cycle. I mean, that is that's fueled by many things, like many emotions, like we already talked about. And but one of the reasons that we can fall into the yes trap, when you think about that, or kind of the pitfall in, is like the loss of alignment, which we talked about. You agree to things outside or out of obligation, fear, or habit, rather than making intentional choices based on your values, right? So it's like, and if you're, and it's no wonder, John, that one of our highest ranking episodes is finding purpose. And if you have purpose, you're going to have definitely a much easier time exercising the word no, because you know what overcommitment can do. And if you're not in alignment or not on purpose right now, well, I mean, definitely go back and look onto finding purpose. There's no shortage of coaches out there. I can definitely help you, kind of find what that purpose is, because when you do live an aligned life that is full of purpose, Like I wake up every day, I'm excited, I'm getting stuff done right away. I know what I need to do, like getting to the gym and meditating and breathing, eating well and not eating sugar, and saying no to things that get in the
I'm
way.
feeling very attacked on this.
I'm a fucking attacking you, John. I'm just kidding. I'm sugar shaming you, John.
You're
How's that?
supporting me. You're supporting me.
Tough love, John.
I feel so supported.
Tough love, John. My dad used to say when he'd say no to me, he'd be like TUFF. And I thought for years, I'm like, that's how you spell tough, So anyway, another one is overcommitment. Saying yes to too many things spreads our time and energy too thin, leaving little room for meaningful commitments. Right, and that's a key word there: meaningful commitments. Like again, dropping into every moment and owning that moment, because you're not spreading too thin. You're not, even subtly injected with stress or anxiety because of overcommitment, right? So you're really allowed to be present and people talk about respect by saying no to other people. But think about when you don't overcommit and when you do commit to something. Like I'm fully committed to this fucking show, John, right now, because I want to fully respect what we've created. I want to respect your time. I want to respect our community, right? And I've made sure I carved out plenty of time to get ready for this show, because like I want to show up for as my best self, so we can continually move forward with Men Talking Mindfulness, and it's all, maybe that's one way to look at no, is like no equals respect. Maybe that's one way to really simply see what no is, whether it's respecting others and respecting your time, because you're kind of always in a relationship, whether it's with yourself or others or both.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great point. That relationship with others or with yourself. That's one thing I've started noticing. With that romantic relationship or the significant other, there can be resentment, but there's also resentment for yourself. If you don't respect yourself by saying no, and you say yes to something that's going to take away from that gym time or your meditation time or your work, you start resenting yourself. You're like, man, why did I say yes to that? Why did I say yes to this? And then you start stressing out. So there's that respect piece is key. You have to respect yourself by saying no. So I love that, what did you say? No equals respect.
No, it does. It really does. I mean, yeah, you want to spell no, R-S-E-S-P-E-C-T, right? That's what no is, right? That's how you spell no, right? No is sorry. Right. Yeah. What do we have else? We have neglecting priorities, right? By prioritizing others' requests, you risk saying, by prioritizing others' requests, you risk saying no to your own needs, like self-care, rest, on time. Okay, we're kind of beating dead horse here. Emotional impact, we talked about, like overcommitting can lead to resentment, frustration, or burnout, strained relationships, and lowering the quality of your contribution, right? So that's like, get out of the yes trap by saying no, right? Exercise the opposite for sure. And if you're caught in that yes trap, I mean, baby steps, right? What's one little way that you can start exercising the power of no?
Yeah, I think it starts with a mindset shift, right? So again, so many of us are saying yes out of fear. We're saying yes because we want to be perceived as reliable, likable, and we need to do a mindset shift in that saying no isn't rejection. It's alignment, if you will, alignment with your priorities, alignment with your schedule, and it really, what's it? Shark Tank. What's the owner of the Mavericks? I'm facing on his name. But anyway, yes, thank you, Mark Cuban. Multi-billionaire, and he says every no that I hear gets me that much closer and that much faster to a meaningful yes. And I was like, oh man, that's exactly what no, it creates space for a meaningful yes. So we have to kind of view that way, and then also view no as a way, like we just talked about. And again, we're trying to we're beating a dead horse here, but we have to view no as a way to respect ourselves and others, our own time, our own values, our own energy, and others' time, values, and energy. I think that's where it starts.
I agree. And that brings up something. I have a buddy here. he's a broker here, always in sales, right? He's a real estate broker, right? And he's like, from his experience, it takes 7 no's to get to a yes, right? And and if you think about in the terms of like selling, right? No just might mean like what you're offering isn't appealing enough, and maybe not speaking to it properly. So come back again, and then try again, until you kind of refine your pitch, so tight that they almost have a problem saying no because of what you're offering them. So it could just be a way to get back to the drawing board. Yeah, John.
Yeah, I mean, or in that situation, if people do say no to whatever it is that you're trying to sell, thank them for saying no. Because, I would rather them say no than be like, I would love to hear about it a little bit more. And it just kind of leading you on. Because again, that's wasting your time and that's taking you away from getting to more yeses in sales, in business development, those kinds of things. Saying no to somebody who's trying to sell you something is that much. It's, again, fuck, we're beating a dead horse here, but you're showing them respect. You're letting them off the hook so that they can go and make another sales call, one that perhaps puts money in their pocket. So,
okay, let's go to, all right, so how do we exercise, John? Like, so what are the solutions? What's the payoff here?
Yeah.
To
I think,
exercising no.
I think we have to start with saying no in kind of low pressure situations, low stakes scenarios, if you will. So, saying no in a romantic relationship right off the bat, that might be difficult. So maybe saying no to those coffee meetings, or hell, even breaking it down to an even lower stake scenario, right? It's Thanksgiving last week and everybody wants to eat tons of food and everybody who prepared it wants you to eat tons of food. And maybe you can just say, hey, I appreciate it. It's really good, but I'm going to refuse the second helping of food. And then, again, that's low stakes, right? Then we also have to, again, do that mindset shift. But with that mindset shift, we have to be soft and kind and polite in our language, but that doesn't mean not firm. So I know I'm saying soft and firm at the same time. And yes, if you look up those dictionary definitions, they're not very counter to one another. But I can say, you know what, Will, thanks, man, but no. So that was me being soft. That was me being polite, but it was also me being firm. And then maybe you can say, phrases that, again, we talked about no being a complete sentence sometimes, but sometimes you may want to offer some justification. It's not always necessary, but maybe you want to. And if you want to, that could look like, again, saying thanks for asking, but I can't this time, that kind of thing. And then if you're in a situation where you have an opportunity to maybe give yourself some space between answering, like in a conversation, it's a little bit more difficult, but maybe in an email or a text message, you may have some space before you have to answer. Maybe role play what this response could look like. And one, how you're going to say it. Two, how it's going to be received. Like in some of my LinkedIn responses, I've even said, at the risk of sounding like a complete douchebag, and that normally softens it. But yes, you just have to do some role playing to build that confidence in saying no. But then, so now we've talked about building the confidence. What about the guilt?
Well, let me just say something there, John. I just had someone here in the city ask me to come teach at their new yoga studio or something like that, and I'll always entertain an offer, and I'm really not interested in teaching too many more yoga studio classes here in the city. It's just like, it's not, I love it. It's a lot of commitment of time. I got to travel there. I got to teach the class. Normally it's not very rewarded at all financially, so that's a big part of it as well. It's not how I want to be using most of my time right now, even though I do enjoy, teaching classes. So this woman hit me up and I was like, right away, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I don't give a fuck what you're teaching, what you're basically paying me, like, or what you will offer. Cause I know what it is. It's going to be low. And it was like, no, right away. I'm like, all right, well, how do I be nice? You know what I mean? Like I figure in the community here in the city, I don't want to come off as like an abrasive or bad, whatever kind of person, you know what I mean? Not like, because I have a good reputation as being a good and kind person. But like, I just kind of, I asked, what she's looking for, or what, like give me the details of what they're doing. Got the details. I read the details and I knew kind of what the details were going to be. And then I just said, I didn't, this might be a good thing as well. Just put a little pause, put a little pin in it. You don't have to answer right away. It doesn't have to be an immediate response. I waited a few days. I just like, how am I going to respond to this person? And this generous offer of like, and just like, I mean, to bring me into her studios is a lot. And I feel very respected, for that request as well. And, I was like, and then it came, oh, this is what I can do is say, being firm, no, but being soft and kind in the sense of like, hey, I won't be able to commit to that, because I can't, and I just said it. I didn't even say why. I won't be able to commit to that. I was like, would you be open to me potentially doing some workshops at your studio in the future? Boom. Right. So it's just, so it's just like, so I said no, but I kind of gave a bit of a yes because I would like to do workshops there. It's easy for me to do a 2-hour workshop, which, I can fill the room with like 20, 30 people, really make some good money, really help some good lives. Right. And I'm in and out in a day instead of committing over and over and over again. So maybe taking that little pause, before, I mean, if you're in the moment with the person there, you can even take a pause there, John. Like what I do when someone asks me to like, hey, you want to go do this thing? I'll be like, oh, I got to get back to you. I got to check my calendar. I might have something, or, and like, granted, if I'm holding my phone, I can check my fucking calendar right in the moment. But, so I'll try to be like, just kind of push it off a little bit, kind of to put a pause in it, reevaluate, like, does this align with me? Do I have the time to do this? And do I want to do this? It's kind of the way I look at a lot of these things. And, typically honestly, the answer is no, because my time is taken up by so many things I value so much, this show being one of them, and many other things. I mean, I just want to help people. And if like, that's not going to lead me, I'm supposed to go to a dinner tomorrow night with a bunch of friends, that are coming up from Philadelphia. We do this thing for like 23 years now. We go to McSorley's here in New York City on Friday afternoon. And I was like, I can't do dinner on Thursday night. In order for me to really be there on Friday, I need to really use the time Thursday, in order to get my work done so I can just piss off, most of Friday and fucking drink beer, So, but anyway, like just like, and the more like, it's okay. I think what's important, John, here as well, it's like, we can't be responsible for other people's feelings. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one thing that what kind of happens with the word no. It's like, oh, I'm going to disappoint them. Well, of course they're going to be a little disappointed. I mean, because they obviously wanted you to do this thing, or they wouldn't have asked you in the first place. But like, there's a way that you can say no, a way that you can engage, if you want to engage with that person even further, that you can make something happen maybe down the road.
No, I love it, man. I think that's a great anecdote there. And similarly, I don't have the exact example, but the phrasing that I've tried to start using, in addition to, at the risk of sounding like a complete douchebag, I've said something to the effect of, I don't say yes, but I also don't say no. Just like you didn't really say no explicitly in that conversation about the yoga studio, but I've said, if somebody says, hey, can you help with this? They don't give me a timeline. They don't give me an exact date. I'm like, I would love to, if time and energy allow. If time and energy allow. So time, hey, is it going to fit into my calendar? And then, do I have the energy to commit to this? And I think that is a way of saying no, or at least giving them a soft no, or maybe even a soft yes, rather than saying yes and then spreading yourself too thin. But yeah, there's definitely different ways to say it. And then as you say it more often, you're going to feel more confident saying no. But the other piece of the confidence, or rather the flip side of the coin, is once you do say no, we talked about having a level of guilt after saying no. And let's talk about what that feels like, and maybe ways to challenge that feeling of guilt.
Well, I'm going to read this first one, John, and you answer it. So like, recognizing guilt as a sign of growth, okay, and shows you're challenging old patterns of commitment. So what do we mean by that?
Yeah. So, well, several of the examples that we brought up in this show right now, you probably felt a little bit of guilt saying no to the woman who offered up her yoga studio,
Yeah, I
offered
did.
you
I
come in
did.
there, right? There was a
I
little bit
did.
of guilt because
Yeah.
she went out of her way
Yeah.
to think about you, to say Will would be in her mind, say Will would be a great addition to our studio, and then to reach out to you and offer it. That's them going out of the way. So that by saying no, there's going to be a level of guilt there. But when you recognize that that guilt allowed you, by, or rather, not the guilt, but the no allowed you time for yourself. It allowed you time to do things that matter to you. Having that guilt, in a way, is that sign of growth, because your old pattern is saying yes to everything. And now, because you're changing that old pattern, of course you're going to have a level of guilt. And I don't want to say that recognizing that guilt is a sign of growth writ large, but in this scenario, having guilt about saying no, I believe, is in fact a sign of growth. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it
Well,
anyway.
no, I mean, I want to guilt's a funny thing, right? Guilt's a very deep feeling. But like what do you want, right? What in this scenario, right? So if you say no initially and you feel a little guilt, or right, the other option, say yes to everything and then start canceling. Right, and then start because you're overcommitted, and then I feel really guilty because you're like, you led somebody on, like, if this woman at the yoga stream, like, "Oh, yeah, I would love to be there, blah, 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 it'd be great, like, thank you so much," and then all of a sudden, like, it's like comes 2 weeks before, it's like, "Oh, hey, like, I got you on the schedule, you ready to go?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I can't." Then I feel really bad because she's invested time, energy, money, feelings into this, like, probably maybe spoke about it to her friends or something like that, get all excited. I mean, so it's like, minimize the guilt by just saying no right up front is a great way to think about it as well. Because if you're overcommitting and then canceling, and I know, like, that seems to be, I don't know. I know a lot of people do that, but like, why waste your time? Why waste other people's time? And why have all this emotional roller coaster? Just fucking say no, man. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time you're saying yes with the best of intentions, right? Maybe you actually do plan on doing that class, and then over time you realize, oh crap, I've got too many commitments piling up. You say that yes with the best of intentions. So I don't fault people for saying yes, but we do have to understand our own limitations, understand our own boundaries, and then not only understand them but protect them. So yeah, I totally get that one, but it builds hope on the other person's side. Hey man, I feel so great. Will said yes to this, and I'm all excited. And then at the last second, Will has to cancel because he's overcommitted. Yeah, that's going to make me feel worse than if you had said no in the first place. When you reflect on the benefits of saying no, like you say, okay, you know what? By saying no to X, Y, or Z. Now I have more time to spend with my family. I have more time to get into the gym. I have more time to prepare meals. I'm not eating a bunch of crap at McDonald's because I don't have time. If you reflect on the benefits of your decision, I think that can help you to handle that guilt. Um, we also have to remember that we're prioritizing what matters most, and it's what matters most, not just to us, but also to everyone. So like we might say no to that coffee meeting, but now that person has time to go and meet with somebody that has more time for them. That person has more time to go to the gym. That person has more time. It's not just us. We're actually respecting them. Again, coming back to that no equals respect. And then, um, and then no more Mr. Nice Guy, right? That people pleasing weakness. Ultimately, that people pleasing will bite you in the ass. It'll bite you in the ass in a relationship. It will bite you in the ass at work. It's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, well, also it's a reflection of you too. I mean, it begins to develop you. People begin to see you as that kind of person, and like, and and I try to really love and respect everybody, but everyone, someone that's really wishy-washy, I'm just like, whoa. I mean, immediately I'm saying no to them almost instantly because it's like, what else, if they're not committed to this or that, the other thing, it's like, what are they committed to? And I'm like, want to continually live and express my life with intention, and I want other people to be on that ride with me that are doing the same thing, but if you have someone that's like, I think that's why, what are you passionate about? What's your purpose? Like, what are you driving towards? And if you're not driving and living a purposeful life, like, you're going to almost look for anything to use that time that you have. I think it's also like, time, more of our equation. It's like, if you're going to get more time by saying no, for sure. Right. And then obviously that's a sign of respect. I mean, so it's like, there's so much power in this, but like, yeah, don't be a weakling, just say no. It's okay. It's okay. You could just call John or me and be like, just say no. Be like, no, Will. I'm like, thanks, buddy, for calling. I don't know why you're saying no, but
man.
Right.
Like, what was it? Barbara Bush's just say no
right,
to drugs.
just say
right?
no. Exactly.
So we talked about ways to start saying no. Now we've talked about the guilt a little bit, but I guess kind of related to ways to starting saying no is like how you set yourself up for success. So I believe that what can really help with this is sitting down and doing some kind of introspective work, the kind of reflection, reflecting on what is important to you, what your priorities are. Your priorities are for the day, your priorities are for the week, month, year even. And when people ask you to do something, when people ask you to go to a party, when people ask you to have that coffee, that LinkedIn virtual call, whatever, if those things don't fall into your priorities, it's so much easier to say no to. But if you don't write down those priorities or at least have them clear in your head, it's so easy to say yes to everything because you're like, yes, that's going to help me to further my entrepreneurial journey. That's going to help me do X, Y, or Z. But if you truly have it outlined or listed in your mind or on a piece of paper for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year, it's so much easier to say no. And not only your priorities, but I would say unpacking your values, your mission, and your goals even. And I think that's going to help to keep you in alignment. Again, if it doesn't fall into your values, your mission, your goals, and your priorities, say no to it. Say no to it. So I think that's a way to set you up for success, man.
Well, what about some other ways to say no, John? You know what I mean? Like, what are some ways, like, something like, hey, I can't this week, but maybe next time, I mean, I gotta say, even like that maybe thing, I'm like, it's even wishy-washy as well. You know what I mean? So, it's like, I don't even like to, those words like maybe, kind of, we'll see kind of stuff like.
But that I would say, so it kind of falls into three categories, if you will, to ways to soften your no. And I would say what you just said there is the polite deferral, right? You're acknowledging that it truly does not fall into your priorities this week, but maybe next time. That's being honest, and honesty, as we said, is the new kindness. Maybe you truly can next time, but you can't this week. So you're doing that polite deferral. But then, another piece is offering those alternatives. So, hey, somebody calls me up and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a mindfulness teacher in New York City. And I'm like, well, one, I'm not in New York City. Two, my schedule it doesn't work for my schedule. So I'm not the best fit for this, but maybe Will be.
Call Will
offering
Schneider.
That alternative, right? What'd you say?
Call Will Schneider.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Sarah might, or rather, in my notes I have Sarah, but hey, so I think Will might be able to help. So, offering that alternative, and then truly acknowledge the other person's feelings, right? Coming back to that yoga studio, I appreciate you thinking of me. I appreciate the offer, but I have to pass this time. So those are ways that I believe are great ways to soften your no. It's still you being firm, but taking the edge off so it doesn't hurt as badly. Again, that's one of the reasons we say yes all the time is we don't want to hurt the other person, but this is a way of kind of softening that blow, if you will.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, I'm even thinking like, coming back to polite deferral could be, and this could be, a way to just stay in a conversation and, it's just like, yeah, I can't this week, but, hit me up next time and I'll see if I can do it. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways you can say it. Cause I mean, sometimes I might be generally interested in doing that, whatever that activity is, but like, I just can't do it now, but maybe we can do it next time.
Or like you said, going to the yoga studio and teaching a class versus running a 2-hour workshop. You're like, hey, I can't do the class, but maybe we can meet in the middle. I can do a workshop, something that's going to be rewarding for you on the emotional and spiritual level, maybe even the physical level, but also, hey, you want to get some bang for your buck financially, and the workshop might be that middle ground. So I think those are great ways to soften the blow. So
good point. Like, what's the middle way? What's in the middle? What's the win-win is a great way to think about that as well. We talked about the yes trap, and I don't know and we talked about a bunch about goals, priorities, values. I don't know if we need to anything else.
Well,
there,
I
John.
would just say, one further thing on the yes trap, and then I think we can probably wrap it up because we are kind of beating the dead horse. But I would say, so we talked about having the priority, listing your priorities, your mission, your values, your goals. If it doesn't fall into those, saying no. But if there's a feeling that you want to say yes, or maybe you already have said yes, reflecting on why you said yes. Why am I saying yes? Is it out of fear? Is it out of my feeling that I'm going to disappoint someone? Is it out of me missing out, the FOMO, right? Is it out of being judged? Or are you saying it because it actually truly feels right? And if you say any of those former, then you've said yes for the wrong reasons. If you say yes because it truly, genuinely feels right, then stick with it. Stick with it. So I think that's the last point that I really want to hit on before we wrap up.
Well, one thing I'll say, John, is like, if you want to develop that strong constitution of saying no, and not necessarily falling into all a bunch of the stuff that we had kind of talked about that comes along with no, like the feelings of others or your feelings. It's like, what's really helped me to just get really stronger is literally meditating. Because when I'm meditating, I really get to center and align my day, my time, my mind, and and I want to stay in that alignment for sure. And in order to stay in that alignment, I need to set boundaries. One of the best boundary creators is no. But like going within again, I think is one of the things that is missing quite often with a lot of people in our world, because we just don't have a lot of self-reflection time. Most people that I know and I see. But like taking that time to self-reflect, and it could be journaling, or it could be, it could be sitting with a therapist, talking about, exercising the power of no. But taking time to like, or how often you're saying yes and how much you're spreading yourself thin. Like, I mean, take time. I mean, if this is something that you're really struggling with, like make the time for yourself, say yes to yourself, and just really look at it. It's like, wait, why do I keep falling into these places where I'm just feel like I'm all over the place and I'm not really accomplishing anything, and I'm not really happy because my time is spread so thin. So that's something to think about, as far as like a way to get stronger when you do say no. But also, and when I'm meditating, John, and this as well, it's like, we have this, and we had, Seth Copeland in here. We have all this wonderful, feelings inside of us that are part of our DNA. Like being kind is one of those things, and it's just like, so you'll find kind ways, to exercise no, and to respect yourself and respect others. So much value again, John, in meditating and getting more mindful. For sure.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Another shameless plug for the meditation course starting in January.
Yeah,
so
very
if
true.
you want to get better
true.
at saying no, try the meditation course. Don't say no to that either.
Yeah, exactly.
So hey, if you enjoyed this episode, again, a lot of this came from a workbook that I put together, the Power of No workbook. And you can grab that free copy of that. And it's really full of some practical exercises to help you identify your priorities that we talked about, right? Your mission, your values, your goals, your priorities. It helps you to set those boundaries, and then it helps you to say no with confidence, without, or rather with limiting the amount of guilt. I won't say it without. And it's on our website. It's going to be on our website. And then if you go to tinyurl.com/MTM Power of No. So I know that's a mouthful, but tinyurl.com/MTM Power of No. You can get that free workbook. So It's that comprehensive guide. It combines the workbook, insight, the real life examples, and some practical tactics for engaging, for that engaging and actionable no, right? So, all right, brother. Well, hey, I'll wrap it up with another grounding practice, and then we'll call it a day, man.
Yeah, I'll call it. We'll have that on the website too.
Just yes.
So
I did start with that.
I'm sorry. I was like,
yeah. So that's mentalkingmindfulness.com, and we'll also have it on our link tree, which you can reach by just texting MTM to 33777. So right on, man. Well, great show, Will. Let's wrap it up with that grounding practice, and like I said, then we'll call it a day. If you can, go ahead and get comfortable, whatever that looks like and feels like for you, and let's just begin with a great big exhaling. Letting it all out and holding empty at the bottom. And now start with that long, slow, deep breath in, holding full at the top. And now slowly and easily, without any effort, just letting that go. All right. Well, great show. For those of you who tuned in, thanks for tuning in on audio. Thanks for tuning in on video. Please help to share this show. We're trying to grow, not so that we can be YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever famous, but so that we can get these practices in more people's hands, because we truly do believe in them. We truly believe that they are life-changing and potentially even life-saving. So thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Peace. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you walk away with some new tools and insights to guide you on your life journey. New episodes are being published every week, so please join us again for some meaningful discussion. For more information, please check out mentalkingmindfulness.com.